Hello students. In the last lecture of chapter 12, electromagnetic induction, we have studied about eddy current. The next topic we have self-inductance. As when the current flowing through a coil changes, the magnetic field and magnetic flux linked with the coil also changes, as we have discussed already. And due to this, an EMF is induced in the coil, and hence this phenomenon is called as self-induction. And the induced EMF is also called as self-induced EMF or back EMF. So here we can say that the production of induced EMF in the circuit or a coil itself on account of a change in the current in it is termed as the phenomenon of self-inductance. Let us consider a circuit or a coil, as you can see over here in this diagram, in which the current is changing. The changing current will vary the magnitude of magnetic flux linked with the coil or circuit itself, and consequently an EMF will be induced in the circuit there. Now consider a coil of negligible resistance connected with a source of EMF and a key in series as shown in the figure. When this key K is closed, the current increases from zero value, and this increase in the current again produces an induced EMF in the same coil. Similarly, when the key K is open, the current decreases to the zero value, and hence this decrease in current again produces an EMF induced in the same coil there. Thus, we can say that during the growth or decay of current in the coil, an opposing EMF is induced in the same coil, and for this reason the induced EMF is also called as back EMF. So here we can conclude that the production of induced EMF in a circuit or a coil itself on account of a change in the current in it is termed as the phenomenon of self-inductance. So here we can define the phenomenon of production of an induced EMF in a coil due to change in current in the same coil is called as self-induction there. Let at any instant the value of the magnetic flux linked with the circuit itself, here we are considering as phi, corresponding to the current I in it, as it's shown in the figure, in the same figure. It is obvious that phi will be proportional to the current there, and hence we can write phi, the magnetic flux linked with the coil, is directly proportional to current induced in the same coil. And as we are removing this proportionality sign, here we are getting a constant denoted by L, and hence the equation is to be written as phi is equal to Li, or we can write L is equal to phi upon I. Give it equation number 1, where This L is a constant of proportionality and it is to be termed as the self-inductance, or also known as the coefficient of self-induction of the coil. So over here, as the coefficient of the self induction or the self inductance we have defined here, which depends upon the number of turns, shape and area of the coil there, and also on the material of the core. The value of this L increases significantly if materials like iron, cobalt or nickel are used as core there. Now next, for a closely wound coil of n turns, if you are considering there are the n number of turns in a coil there, the same magnetic flux will be linked with all the turns there, and when the flux through the coil changes, each turn of the coil contributes towards the induced EMF. Therefore, the term flux linkage is used for a closely wound coil there. The flux linkage for a coil with n turns corresponding to current I will be written as previously we had seen, phi is proportional to I, and for the closely wound coil of n turns, the equation will be written as n phi b proportional to I. And the proportionality constant we are getting as L, so equation is to be written as n phi b is equal to Li, and hence L is to be written in general for a closely wound coil of n turns. L will be is equal to n phi b upon I. The inductance L here depends only on the geometry and material properties of the coil, as we have discussed already. Now let's see the unit of the inductance there. So according to the Faraday's law, induced EMF is to be given as by the equation E is equals to minus d phi by dt. If current changes with respect to time, then magnetic flux linked with the coil also changes. Hence, EMF E is induced in a coil. E is equals to minus d phi by dt there. And by using equation number 1, the value of phi is to be taken as L into I, and hence E is to be given as minus d by dt of Li. As L is the constant of proportionality, so here we can write E is equals to minus L, and there will be the change in current will takes place with respect to the time. So here we can write E is equals to minus L di upon dt. And the unit of L is to be given as, here we are considering only the magnitude, that's why minus sign is not going to be written here. So the L is to be written as E upon di upon dt. As we are writing the magnitude only, so here we have to take the ratio of magnitude of the induced EMF to the magnitude of rate of change of current. As induced EMF is to be measured in volt, so the unit of E we are writing as volt, that is to be divided by di upon dt. Di having the unit ampere and dt is to be measured in second, so it is ampere per second. So here we are getting unit of L as volt upon ampere per second, or we can write it as volt second upon ampere, as volt upon ampere is nothing but ohm. So we can write it as ohm into second, and this ohm into second is to be known as Henry. So the unit of the coefficient of self-induction, or the unit of the self-inductance L, is to be measured in Henry, and it is to be denoted by capital H. Let's see the different definitions of L. So the self-inductance L may be defined in number of ways, in which the first one is given as just right now we have discussed, L is equals to E upon di upon dt in magnitude. So here the SI unit of E is measured in volt, di upon dt is measured in ampere per second, and hence the SI unit of L is to be written as volt upon ampere per second, and this ampere per second is to be written in the numerator as volt second upon ampere. This volt upon ampere is ohm, so it is to be written as ohm into second, and finally ohm into second or volt second upon ampere is Henry, and the SI unit of L is to be given as Henry, and it is to be denoted by the capital H. Hence, the self-inductance of a coil is the ratio of magnetic flux. The definition as we can give over here as, if E is to be taken as 1 volt and di upon dt is to be taken as 1 ampere per second, then L is to be measured as 1 Henry. Hence, the self-inductance of a coil will be 1 Henry if an EMF of 1 volt is induced in a coil when current passing through the same coil changes at the rate of 1 ampere per second. This is one of the definition of the self-inductance, as it is to be defined as self-inductance of a coil is 1 Henry if an EMF of 1 volt is induced in a coil when the current passing through the same coil changes at the rate of 1 ampere per second. Let us see the various ways to define the self-inductance. So over here, the self-inductance of a circuit is to be given by using the equation as we have discussed is phi is equal to Li. So L is to be written as phi upon I. By using this equation also we can give the, or we can define self-inductance L there. So the self-inductance of a circuit is nothing but the ratio of magnetic flux that is to be produced due to current in the circuit linked with the circuit to the current flowing in it. That is the ratio of phi upon I. So here we can say that the self-inductance of a circuit is the ratio of magnetic flux produced due to current in a circuit linked with the circuit to the current flowing through it or current flowing in it. And the magnetic flux produced per unit current in a circuit is defined as its self-inductance. Another way of giving definition of self-inductance as the magnetic flux produced per unit current in a circuit is defined as its self-inductance. Now, the next definition we can give as by using the unit of the inductance, we are having equation L is equals to minus E upon di upon dt. So over here, the self-inductance of a circuit is the ratio of induced EMF. It is the ratio of induced EMF caused by changing current in a circuit produced around the circuit to the rate of change of current in it. Another way of defining self-inductance as ratio of induced EMF that caused by changing current in a circuit produced around the circuit to the rate of change of current in it. In other words, we can say that the induced EMF produced around the circuit per unit rate of change of current in it is defined as the self-inductance of the circuit there. In any way you can define the self-inductance. Now, let's see the next one. When a current increases in a circuit and induced EMF acts opposite to it, as we had seen, consequently the work will have to done in order to establish the magnetic flux associated with the steady current I0 in the circuit there. So this work done in time dt is to be given as dw is equals to E into I dt. The work done in a time dt, here we are writing in the by using the formula as E into I dt there. As E here we know that minus L into di upon dt. So we are supposed to substitute the value of E here. I is to be written as it is into dt there. So the equation will become minus Li di upon dt into dt. So this dt get cancelled and it is to be remaining with dw is equals to minus Li into di. So the total work capital W here we can determine by integrating this small work done in a small interval of time dt there. So let's integrate the value of dw. So we are having integration of minus Li into di, value of the current from 0 to the maximum value. So 0 to the maximum value is I0, which is our steady current. And as minus Li is constant, so we are writing it out of the integration and take the integration of I di, limit from 0 to I0 gives the value I square upon 2. And when we will substitute the limits, upper limit minus lower limit, so it becomes I0 square upon 2, and hence the total work done dw we are getting as minus L I0 square upon 2. Now in magnitude only we can write the total work done is equal to half L I0 square. If the steady current having the value 1 ampere, I0 is 1, so we can write the W is equals to L into half. That means over here the value of L is to be written as 2 into W numerically. That means this is the work done W will represent the energy of the circuit. Hence, the self-inductance of a circuit is numerically equal to the twice the work done is in establishing the magnetic flux associated with unit current in the circuit there. As this work done W represent the energy of the circuit, so we can write energy of the circuit as half L I0 square. Then, as we know that the mechanical energy is to be expressed in terms of the kinetic energy, and kinetic energy is to be given as half mv square. So when we are comparing these two equation number 3 and 4, simultaneously you have to see all the equation numbers and give the number to them. So when we are comparing the equation 3 and 4, we find that the self-inductance L of an electrical circuit plays the same role, that is the electrical inertia, as played by mass, which is nothing but the inertia in the mechanical motion. As energy of the circuit is half into L into I0 square. Kinetic energy we are having half into mass into V square. So we are comparing these two equations and we are finding that this L, which is the self-inductance of an electrical circuit, it plays the same role as the mass is playing the role of inertia in the mechanical motion. That means here we can say that this self-inductance of an electrical circuit plays the role of the electrical inertia there. So here we can say that the self-inductance in any circuit is the property of the circuit which tries to oppose any change of the current in the circuit. Hence, the role of inductance coil, or known as inductor, is similar to that of inertia of a body in mechanics. As self-inductance does not prevent the current from changing, it serves only to delay the change. Therefore, the self-inductance is also called as the measure of electrical inertia. Now, next let's determine the inductance of a solenoid. To determine or to derive the expression for the self-inductance of a solenoid over here, we are considering that if a current I is to be established in the winding or the turns of a long solenoid, the current produces a magnetic flux, that is phi B, through the central region of the solenoid, and the inductance of the solenoid is to be given as L is equal to N phi B upon I, where N is the number of turns there and N phi B over here is called as magnetic flux linkage. For a length L near the middle of the solenoid, the flux linkage is to be given as N phi B is equals to NL into vector B dot vector A, where vector B dot vector A is to be written as product of magnitude of vector B and vector A and cosine of the angle between them, as the angle theta is 0. That's why cos 0 will be 1 and N5B we are having NLBA, where N is the number of turns per unit length and B is the magnetic field inside and A is the cross sectional area of the solenoid. We know that the magnetic field inside the solenoid is to be given as B is equals to mu 0 Ni. Hence, we can write L is equals to, as it is given, N phi B upon I. So, N phi B we are writing as NLBA upon I there. And over here the value of B we are writing as mu 0 Ni over there. So, L will be is equal to NL into nu 0 Ni into A upon I get cancelled and we are having value of L as nu 0 N square LA, where AL is nothing but the interior volume of solenoid. Therefore, the inductance per unit length near the middle of a long solenoid is to be given L upon small l. As we are having L is equals to nu 0 N square LA is nothing but the inductance of a solenoid over there, where NL is nothing but we had seen NL is nothing but the number of turns per unit length of the solenoid. So we can determine the inductance per unit length near the middle of a long solenoid is to be given as L upon a small l, which will become nu 0 N square into A. As area is to be given over here in terms of the diameter of the solenoid, which is to be denoted as D. So, the inductance per unit length near the middle of a long solenoid is nu 0 N square in bracket A is to be written as pi D square upon 4, where D being the diameter of solenoid. And this implies that the inductance of a solenoid L is, capital L is directly proportional to N square, and also capital L is directly proportional to D square. As you can see over here, L is proportional to N square and also L is proportional to D square, as nu 0 pi and 4 is constant. That is nu 0 into pi upon 4 is constant. So we can say that L is directly proportional to N square as well as L is directly proportional to D square. As N is the number per unit length, inductance can be written as a product of permeability constant nu 0 and a quantity with dimension of length there. And this implies that nu 0 can be expressed in Henry per meter. So that the inductance of a solenoid we have determined over here. Now, the next we can give the relation for the total inductance for the combination of the inductors which can be combined in series as well as in parallel combination. Over here, let's see inductances in series and parallel combination. If several inductances are connected in series or in parallel, then the total inductance is determined by using the following relations. When the inductances are connected in series, so in series combination, the total inductance is to be determined as L total is equal to sum of the individual inductances which are connected in series. For example, if you are having 3 inductances are to be connected in series combination, so in that series combination the total inductance is to be given as L1 plus L2 plus L3 and so on. So if several inductances are to be connected in series, the total inductance is to be determined by using the relation L total is equal to L1 plus L2 plus L3 plus till Ln. Similarly, when the several inductances are connected in parallel combination, so the total inductances is to be determined by using the relation as 1 upon L total is equal to 1 upon L1 plus 1 upon L2 plus 1 upon L3 plus dash dash till plus 1 upon Ln. That means over here in the parallel combination, the total inductances are to be given in terms of its reciprocal 1 upon L total, and we have to add the reciprocal of the individual inductances there. So in parallel combination, when the several inductances are connected, then the total inductance is to be given as 1 upon L total is equal to 1 upon L1 plus 1 upon L2 plus 1 upon L3 till 1 upon Ln. So this is all about self-inductance. As we had seen the basic concepts of the self-inductance, now let's determine energy stored in a magnetic field. Let's see the next topic. As we had seen that the changing magnetic flux in a coil causes an induced EMF, and the induced EMF so produced opposes the change, and hence energy has to be spent to overcome it to build up the magnetic field there. This energy may be recovered as heat in the resistance of the circuit there. And this fact gives the logical concept of the energy being stored in the magnetic field that we have to determine. As already we know that the total electrostatic energy UE is stored in a medium between the plates of a capacitor with a capacitance C and charge Q held at the potential V, which is to be given as UE is equal to Q square upon 2C. As Q is equal to CV, so we can write the energy is stored over there is CV square upon 2 or half CV square. Now we can estimate the energy spent to build up a current I in a circuit having an inductance L. As we know that the induced EMF E is to be given as minus L di upon dt. The work done is to be moving a charge dq. Against this EMF must be minus E into dq there. As minus E is nothing but minus L into di upon dt. So the work done dw we can write L into di upon dt into dq. That means we can write the same as L into di into dq upon dt there. As dq upon dt is nothing but the current I, So we can write the dW as L into I into di there. And by using this we can determine the total work done W, which is nothing but the integration of this small work done dW. And finally we have to take the integration of L into I into di there from the limit 0 to the maximum current I. As L is constant, so we are keeping it out of the integration. We have to take the integration of I into di limit from 0 to I, and the value we are getting I square upon 2 there. When we will substitute the limits, upper limit minus lower limit, so we are getting the value for the total work done as half Li square. Now this work done is to be stored in terms of the energy which is to be given as UB. So this is the energy stored UB in a magnetic field, and this is stored energy in a magnetic field is actually analogous to the energy is stored UE in the electric field in the capacitor there.
So, here we have discussed all about self-inductance. The chapter will be continued. We will see next time in the next lecture. Thank you.